there is a creature of the night, whose very name strikes terror in the hearts of man. He fears only mirrors, the scent of garlic, and the sight of a crucifix. He feeds upon human blood. Only sunlight or a stake driven through his heart can destroy him or those whose blood he drinks. His name is Dracula.
I love you, and I can give you eternal life.
I knew it, an insurance salesman. I've already got Prudential.
All right, love at first bite. Okay, so little backstory with this one. So a couple of years ago, I was visiting my father, and we would tend to, every October, we would try to do, like, horror movies. So there was two movies that, we put down, and it was Love at First Bite and then the 2004 Van Helsing. And I really didn't want to watch Van Helsing because I saw some of the CGI. I eventually watched it, and oof, boy. While Jackman was amazing, and Beckinsale was great in it too. Whoa. But that's for another day. So I picked this one, and was going into it going, okay, I kind of know where to expect this is going to go, but was really genuinely surprised on how funny I actually found it and how much I laughed. So let's get this out of the way first. This movie is about, it is basically a parody of Dracula. And it's a parody, but also a fish out of water parody or story of Dracula, where Dracula gets evicted from Transylvania and then moves to New York City and tries to search for a bride. That's basically the story. That's basically it. But the parody comes in with, when you have Dracula's first line in the movie, he's playing the organ, he hears like all the bats and creatures and stuff, and the first line out of his mouth is, "Children of the night, shut up." You know exactly what you're getting into. Like, okay. This one, it definitely, it parodies Dracula, but also holds its hand. It's more of just like, hey, we're making fun of it as we're guiding it along. We're with it at the same time. So, it wasn't like, hey, we're going to take cheap shots at the source material. We're actually playing along with it, making something new out of it, while still trying to be respectful to the actual story, which I think they do very well. So, performances out of the way, you have George Hamilton. He is great as Dracula. He really is. He was really good, but to me, the standout character was hands down, it was Richard Benjamin, who is playing the doctor who, you could kind of, if you remember the original Dracula, the original from the 30s, I believe, you could culminate Dr. Hannibal Lecter as him. Or, I'm sorry, not Hannibal Lecter. What? Oh, whoa. Van Helsing as Benjamin's character, but he's not in relation. He's not even playing the same character. But in this case, he's playing a bumbling idiot where he thinks he knows what he's doing, but it's just really funny. Like, for example, he goes up, like, Dracula and woman he's with, who I believe was actually going out with the doctor. They're in a disco, and they're hanging out. Then all of a sudden, the doctor shows up, and he says, "I know one thing you can't you can't resist this." And then instead of holding up a Catholic cross, he pulls out a Star of David. And Dracula kind of like backs off a little bit, but then quickly looks at it like, "You're an idiot." And so he's that kind of character. And then there's another part where he does it with instead of a stake through the heart, he shoots Dracula with 6 silver bullets. And then Dracula even says, "Oh, those are for werewolves, not vampires." And then he just goes, "It is? Are you sure?" Like, wow, you are just a moron, but you're a funny moron. And so that right there is just really funny. And to me, he is the standout. I always liked Richard Benjamin, like, especially like, you know, like Westworld and stuff like that. I've always liked him, but this is kind of where he started transitioning into just doing just comedic roles like this, and I would say like Saturday the 14th, where it's just like, yeah, we're just being pretty much idiots. So, you know, that you have that, and the comedy is really funny. A lot of that has to go with Richard Benjamin's character. A lot of that is, or it's a lot of the, you know, because it's the fish out of water, it's a lot of Dracula's reaction to things. So there's that. Now, this was made in the 70s, so there are times when it's a little cringy to watch. Like something, you know, like if, like, I feel like when I go back and rewatch the original 70s Carrie, there were parts in that movie where I'm like, okay, that doesn't work. Mainly when it comes to some of the camera angles. You know, like dance where, you know, the dance part where they're dancing and then the camera's just spinning around them the whole time. You're just like, hey, I'm gonna puke. Or, you know, like they all of a sudden like do like a bar in the middle of the screen or something like that. It doesn't, now this movie doesn't really have that, but there are parts where I'm like, okay, like, yeah, I can watch this, but I can't help but like kind of like cave in at the same time when watching it, because it is very 70s. So if you're able to get past that, you'll be fine. The ending, I understand this movie is supposed to be ridiculous, but the ending was a little too ridiculous. And also felt like at the same time, like they saw the runtime and just went, oh shoot, we gotta quickly speed this up. We gotta finish this quick. And so, you know, it's just, it felt like, you know, they were like, all right, we're at this point now. We're at the climax. Oh shoot, we have 5 minutes left. Do this, and then we're done. It's like, but shouldn't we expand that a little bit? No, we don't have time. So the ending is a little, like, it feels to me a little quick. Like, I feel like it would have been better if they spaced it out just a little bit more. But it's also a little ridiculous, but this movie is supposed to be ridiculous. And that's part of the fun of it. So the ridiculous part is very mild, but I feel like they could have stretched it out just a little bit more. But that's just me. But, you know, overall, this movie took me completely by surprise on how funny I thought it was. And it was just, there were certain things in there where I was just like, hey, that's really funny. Or, you know, very 70s, where I'm just like, oh boy, okay, like that's something. But, you know, that's part of the charm of it. And this is definitely, I don't see a lot of people talking about this movie. And it's a little bit of a shame, because this one, if you like your parodies and you want like something different other than like something like Scary Movie, I think this is a good one, because it's a parody, but it's also holding its hand. It's not blatantly throwing dirt at it, just saying, hey, we're just going to make fun of this. We're making fun of this as we're holding its hand, as we're guiding it through. So it is very much respectful of Dracula, of the character, and of Bram Stoker's novel. It very much is. So I think the movie does a really good job at that. So I would say if you want a more goofy like parody of Dracula, this is a good one to go with. It's hilarious. It has a nice romantic feel to it, and it's not particularly scary. Like, honestly, I was not scared once during this. It's not even really scary. It's more of like a light scare but you'll be fine. So, it is a funny, romantic creature feature that I think, if you go into, like, not taking it seriously and understanding, like, okay, this is supposed to be ridiculous, it's supposed to be a parody of Dracula, I think, honestly, you'll have a good time watching it. It is a fun, romantic comedy film.
The second way to kill a vampire, Count. 3 silver bullets through the heart.
No, Rosenberg. That is a werewolf.
Really? Are you sure? I've lost her forever. He's drained all the blood out of her.
George Hamilton,
His blood in your eyes.
Susan St. James, Richard Benjamin, Dick Shawn, Sherman Hemsley, Isabel Sanford, and Artie Johnson as Renfield.
Finally, after 712 years, to have someone bite me again.
Love at first bite.